So, hello and welcome to the panel Women in Robotics. And it's a pleasure for me to stay here on the stage and present this topic to you, because it's a topic of my heart. But I have to be honest, and I have to admit it wasn't over the past years. So when I was in school and started my studies, I hated this whole discussion about gender, diversity, and about the woman quota. And, this changed over the past years, and I think there were 4 major milestones in the time that changed my whole opinion about the topic women and tech, robotics, and AI. Number 1, I started to study media computer science. Well, I think 15 to 25% of the students are female. And I started in a very huge class, about 1,000 students, a lot of male students around me. And after 2 years, it changed completely, because from the 1,000 students, we only had 200 around, and in the end, only 60 made their diploma thesis. And I asked them, why do you leave the university? Well, and a lot of males said to me, of course, I recognized I'm good in gaming, but I'm not that good in programming. And maybe I recognize tech is not the topic that I'm interested in, or mathematics is too strange, too strong for me. And the lesson I learned, well, women can make it, and also men have different interests in other topics. Number 2 is I started to work as a research assistant and started my PhD. And well, it's common that you write proposals for research projects, and that you also write proposals for new roles in the projects too. And there was one major paragraph you had to add in this proposal, which said, well, women and disabled people are preferred. And I hated it, because I said, hey, I'm a woman and I want to be here because of my work, my knowledge, my strengths. And then I heard some professors say, well, I don't hire female PhD students because they maybe become pregnant, and I have to search again, I have to start the whole process again. And of course, this is not only a topic from university, this is a topic of economics and industries too. And that's why I put this paragraph with very confident under each proposal, because I said, well, if you want to play unfair, you have to have women in your team to become a different opinion, or to get a different opinion about this topic too. So number 3, I founded Wandelbots. And well, a lot of people ask questions like, why did you study computer science? Why did you found a company? What do you do with your children? How is your husband thinking about this? And how is it to work with a lot of men around you and to be the only woman around? Well, and I said, and they all wanted to have clever answers of this, but I have to start thinking about, why? And number 4, my kids changed a lot my opinion about this, because I have a boy and a girl, and a lot of cliches confronted me when I got them. So, for example, my boy is interested in tech. Of course, he's a boy. My girl is good in school, and she draws a lot. Yeah, of course, she's a girl. But she also likes to play Minecraft. Well, you are very modern parents. And from my perspective, I want to change that. I want to question a lot of the cliches, and I also want to learn about the stories behind strong people, women in robotics and the tech. And that's why I want to welcome on this panel our super awesome Professor Frank Fitzek, Professor Ulrike Thomas, Elisabeth Schärtl, and Birthe.
Du gehst in die Mitte?
Huh? Yeah. So hello and welcome on the stage. And first of all, I want to get a short introduction from you. Maybe we start with you, Frank, because you are today the man on stage. And we want to turn the whole conversation around what's your background and who are you?
Okay, my name is Frank Fitzek. I was on stage yesterday already. It's a wonderful event here, and I think you did a great job in introducing it. From my point of view, I'm a professor from a chair of communication networks, highly tech-oriented, but we also have some excellence clusters, some research things, and maybe I'm here to talk about these experiences that we have when it comes to equal opportunities, as we call it today.
So welcome. Professor Ulrike Thomas, so what's your background? Where are you from?
So I studied computer science in Braunschweig at Technical University Braunschweig I did my PhD in robotics there and switched then to the German Aerospace Center and there worked at DLR for 7 years before I moved to Chemnitz. And just to see, when I studied, I think there were 5 other women of 120 students in computer science, approximately like that. And then there are 2 situations where you lose your female colleagues. And we can talk about this in this round. There's one situation when they are not anymore attracted to technicians. And there's a second situation when they become mother often and stop working in their job properly. And we can talk about how to turn around these situations to keep them working in the field of technicians and in the field of techniques.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
And welcome.
So,
yeah.
And I stayed on it, and I'm a little bit older than you. I think nowadays it's a bit easier. It became better, but still in these days it was difficult to bring both under one umbrella, family and career. So I'm a person who have done the career and not the family.
Okay.
But yeah.
Interesting. Let's talk about this because I think we have some opinions on this too. But first, welcome, Elisabeth.
Hi. Yes, I'm Elisabeth Schärtl. I studied classic mechanical engineering at the Technical University in Munich. Started then in an automation and robotics company, so classic traditional industry. I think I was the only woman in this area where I started. So classic system integration, automation around robotics. I realized it's getting better. And now I'm working also in IT more. And I see there the difference, and as I said, yes, it's over the years I also see it's getting better and better, but I also see the challenges when you as a woman say you work full-time, you have family, and you take everything under an umbrella. It fears sometimes also others. This was my experience, what I did, what I had with this. But yes, as you said, Ulrike, it is a lot to do still.
Okay. So also welcome, Birthe. And what's your background and where are you from?
I'm working as an investment manager at the Technologiegründerfonds Sachsen, a tech fund for startups here in Saxony. And previously I studied industrial engineering at the Karlsruhe Institute for Technology and also in Linköping, Sweden. And so actually I stayed with my studies doing everything a bit, but not for fully deeply, and I'm very curious about the startup scene here in Saxony because it's really interesting what has grown here in the recent years.
Okay, thank you. So you all accepted my invitation to be part of this panel, and I want to ask why. Frank, why are you here today?
You made me accept the invitation.
The force. Yeah, sure.
On the other hand, I think the panel is, on one end, it's not about technology. In the end, you think, why we are discussing that? Why do we really need that? Would we rather talk about a new way of a new theorem, about a new way, algorithm, or whatsoever? And for me also personally, it comes in waves. Sometimes I like to talk about it. Sometimes I say, we don't need it anymore. And sometimes you see certain events where you say, now we have to talk about this maybe again. So just to give this topic a certain importance, I accepted your invitation.
Okay, yeah, to be honest, I asked you because you are one of my supporters in the back, and I want to thank you also for this, and I also know that you have awareness on this topic too, and also create your chair around this. But also, what was your decision?
I think we still have to do a lot of work to improve the situation. On the one hand side, if we lose 50% of our people working not in technical fields is a loss for the entire society. And this is why we should get these women particularly interested in the technical fields. And we need to think about what we need to do that this becomes possible. So maybe new ways to step into career after a break. Because in the old brain thinking it was, if you are out for 1 or 2 years, you will never come back. And now we have Corona.
Yeah.
Many did homeschooling. They took them out of the job a bit, to be honest. And we will go back. We have to, and it's possible. And I see this also possible. And that we open doors, bring opportunities for those who are interested to work even after a break, again, in technical fields.
You both are from universities, you both are professors, you both have chairs.
Yes.
What is the situation currently at the university with students? Is there a difference between male and female quota? Is it improving over time? And how is it at your chair?
Maybe you start.
Maybe. I think we still have too few female students.
Too
few.
Too few.
Too few female students. There are not many. And we have to improve to keep them interested in technical fields, that they also think that they are able to manage it. And on the second, at my share, before we had Corona, I said everyone can go into home office if they have children.
Okay.
So to work 2 or 3 days a week at home to make this possible to bring everything under umbrella. It should not matter if you're female or male. Everyone should have the possibility to do so. And I think this is also the situation we now have to make this possible after Corona, to say, okay, home office is an opportunity to bring both under one umbrella and to leave the people decide when they work.
I also had the feeling that Corona changed the acceptance about the family and about home office, and so Frank.
So also in our case, I would say the number is too little, right? We would like to have more female students, but I would say it's not our fault because they're coming to us and there's a certain number, right? So I think what we have to do is something we have to talk to, or we have to identify the situation a little bit earlier than the university, right? Currently in our excellence cluster, we're trying to address children in the age of 8 to 12 and trying to tell them why it's important to study our field. Computer science, electrical engineering is known to be very boring for ladies, apparently, right? I don't know why. Maybe the guys are too aggressive, or I don't know what it is. But over the time, I got taught by a lot of people that also tried something out, that it seems that men like to build machines and women like to help other humans. There's this standard things. And there are some computer science people who started really good things where they changed computer science to the other topic, and they had a lot of success with that. So what we want to do is, first of all, not only changing our field, we would like to interleave our fields with other fields. So we have, for example, when we talk about tactile internet, we are talking about psychology, medicine,
yeah.
so where we maybe can mix something and make sure it's also about the human being. And if we do that now, in the age of 8 to 12, when they're coming to the university, I am already dead, I mean professionally dead. They are coming too late for me. But I think it's a great investment to think about this now. We will not see our own success, but I would say we need more female researchers, because you need diversity in everything, in age, in gender, in nationality, whatever it is. The more diversity you get, the better is your whatever, chair, product, whatsoever. And therefore, we have to start very early on. And it's too late. You cannot blame the universities at a certain point. We can try to be a little bit more attractive, but it's too late already. Because the decision in Germany, whether you go for MINT or STEAM, right, is early, very early. And then they don't change anymore. That's a little bit the problem.
Well, this is very, very super answers. And there's also a McKinsey study that proved that the best teams, also in economies, are the diverse teams. And they make the best decisions for that. And yeah, because I talked before that I got a lot of answers why I studied computer science. And I have to be honest, I wanted to study bioinformatics because it was very interesting for me to research about the DNA, about therapies, about healthcare. And then I started, to study computer science in biology with the second lecture. So to make more a story and an outlook, what can you do? What do you have for an impact when you study in tech? So now it's your turn, because you are not from the university side. Well, you studied, of course, and maybe you can share some insights from your studies, but you are also have a very industries background. What's your lesson you learned maybe from your way?
I have to say, as you said in the entry speech, that you had first no, it's not important, and you got more and more important women to bring this women diversity in. For me, it was a little bit different. I was, as a teenager, I was really feminist. I went to a girls' school, and I said yes. There has to be a quote, and there has to be different things. And during my life, I realized the diversity is good, and it has to be. And I learned also in industry that often there is a lack of people or women who come. So you don't find the women in industry often because, as you said, they don't study, and that's why I agree fully. They have to much earlier start to bring technology to kids. Much earlier. I realized this when I was 2 years ago. I have 2 boys, so I don't have a girl, but when I was with my boys, 2.5 years old at Automatica, I was the only woman or the only mom or dad who was with their children there. And starting in early years saying, hey, the technique is cool, is nice, and bringing and showing from the parents' way. So for me, it's always important that the parents bring, or the family and the society brings this closer. Because you as university, you can do everything. Also the industry, even the very conservative industry, tries to change a little bit. The old patriarchs, I have to say, I learned 20 years now in the classic industry. They are gone more and more and taking care to have diverse teams. Of course, you will always find them, and you will find them in future as well. But from my perspective, also from society, a little bit changed. That more special games for girls, special games for boys. When I was a child, I didn't have special girls' Lego plays. I didn't have Kinder Surprise for girls. It was one Kinder Surprise. And I think also this is based on this diversity where everybody wants to make it right. I think we come here in a little bit a wrong direction. And I think starting very, very early, as you said, is the most important, because when they have a direction at school and in most of the in complete Germany, it's starting from 10 till 15, where they look what is my best grade. I'm more better in social topics, I'm more better in technical topics, or in languages or something like that. It has to start before. And this I realized by me. Even I grew up in Bavaria in a very conservative family, but my parents were always the same level, gleichberechtigt. So there was near different. Even my mom was a housewife and my dad went to work, but it was always, I could play with Barbie and could tailor, but I also could make some woodwork or metalwork with my dad. They didn't care. They showed me up and were open-minded to show me everything. And so it was with my brother. So it came out. I was the technician in the family, and my brother is the theologist in the family. So completely different. And I think this, the core is really in the family and in the society. And this is what I realized over the years, that the media and all the industry tries to bring it that there's girl stuff, there's boys stuff, and this makes it more difficult from my perspective.
Okay. And in your career, so when you worked, for example, like cooker and now in the industries, what is your recognition there? Is there a change in the awareness for women, that women are needed, or do no one talk about it?
Yes, definitely. This, as I said, when I started, I was the only woman in this area, and I can remember this is a good story I told you before, when the state put the parent time and made the parent time also for men and women, and this law. And then I was a young engineer and came into, and two, let's say, older guys were sitting in hall. Damn. Now we have no planning security with men either. That's damn. And I showed to them, I said, hey, that's good. And I have to say, for this were very, very nice colleagues for me. So they were never, ever some problems with me as a woman in tech, never, ever. But then I realized, for them, it's still the old thinking. And I know when I got my boys and I came back, I didn't take parent time because my husband and I, we agreed we want to grow up our kids together, and he wants to be a father like I want to be a mother. So, and then I came back, and then somebody was looking at me and said, how do you care it? I said, what do you mean? Yes, you're working full-time, your husband is working full-time, and you have 2 children. How do you handle it? I said, yes, it's much organization, but when you want it, you can do it. And this was more shocking than the old guys who said, and now we have no planning security, that a young man told me, how do you handle this? I said, yes, when I want to have it, I can have it.
Wow, brilliant. You showed them it's possible.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it needs some role model or someone who says, hey, I can do it. So that's right. So Birthe, what's your, why do you participate on this panel? So what was your decision, why are you here?
I think I want to combine it with picking up a topic that you two mentioned. You mentioned that it's necessary to communicate, to contact girls age 8 till 12 or whatever. But I think it's not only important to go earlier, but actually to provide a socialization for girls, to provide the right environment so that they can actually try things out. It's probably not about the age that they come into contact with technical topics, but the format, how they come into contact with tech. Probably they don't pick up technical equipment from early on, but they need perhaps a more playful approach or a more theoretical approach. They need to be taught, hey, it's safe to try this stuff. So perhaps it's not about the age, but about the format that you can address girls and women and female students or students at all to provide different kinds of formats in order to increase the amount of women in tech. Because, well, that is one point that I observed in my studies. Well, industrial engineering in Karlsruhe is not that tech heavy as it is, for example, at other universities. So we're approximately a third to 2/3 per share. But while among the male students, it was quite common to talk about founding something and doing something cool, doing something in tech and being at the Pioniergarage and whatever. For my female friends, it was like, yeah, it was interesting, but it was so far away. We didn't know where to start, how to start. One felt so uncertain regarding funding. And now that I come to your question, realizing this, and now being an investment manager, sitting on the other side of the table, I want to address this topic. I want to understand or find out why there is not that much. Not so many initiatives from students. Why are they not funding? Why don't they come to us and pitch? I checked our portfolio companies, and I think it's in our current fund, we have like 1 or 2 or 3 founders or shareholders actually in the teams, and that's not so much.
Yeah, I think the statistic is 16% of founders in Germany are female, so it's not that much, and we can have an advantage there, or can bring it up and then make it better. So, well, I have one critical question, which is discussed a lot. How is your opinion about a woman quota? A woman
About what?
quota, woman quota, a quota,
Quota.
Frauenquote, die Frauenquote, woman quota, in maybe at the university, maybe in the industries, in companies, in management. So maybe Frank, what's your opinion about this?
Actually, I'm really the wrong person to ask. I would even like to hear what the women are saying to that, if they would like to have it, right? I mean, we have so many tools, so many meetings for exactly building up strengths of women. Now, the question is this good or is this bad? If somebody would say it's a good thing, then let's do it. If it's bad, let's not do it. Because it's not so easy to decide on that. So if you say a quota, for example, if we would do this in the university, we could say easy 50% of the professors should be women, then you have to find them, right? So another thing is, it's not only quota. We have, for example, the rule that if we have an open position, we need at least 1 female applicant. So if we then decide on the professors, we need also women to be in the deciding team now. So we only have few women. They are always occupied in these meetings, right? They're fed up. They don't want to go there anymore. They said, why is always us? And so is it a good thing, a quota? Is it a bad thing? Therefore, I would not like to decide that. If the women would decide on their own and say, we want the quota, let's give it the quota, right? If this would be helpful. But as you said, you did not like it either. Are you here because you're really good, or you because there's the quote, right? And that is really our problem at the moment, that we are not relaxed, right? Why we are not a little bit more relaxed with this whole topic, and instead of pushing to certain direction, sometimes it works nice, sometimes it will not work, right? Coming from Scandinavia, where I worked more than 10 years, they have a totally different thinking about this gender thing, right? They don't talk about this, first of all. Then they don't have toilets, unisex toilets, first of all, right? That is also something. I had a colleague who was very much for women power. When she saw unisex toilets, that was a no-go, right? So what is it really that we want in the end? And on the one end, I hope that we are relaxed. On the other end, sometimes I'm also stressed. I say that's not going the right way, right? I'll give you one example. When I was a kid, that was the 70s, and I was looking linear TV, my heroes were mostly female heroes. The Red Zora, Pippi Langstrumpf, Heidi. There were no guys, and Jim Knopf, who was a puppet, right? So nowadays, your kids, they have Bob der Baumeister and Lilifee. So very female boy-like
It's
thing?
not true because we have Star Wars and Princess and Leia. Okay.
Okay, good.
Right, go on.
But it becomes very stereotype again, right? That makes me more nervous. I'm trying to do one thing on the younger people, and the whole industry is getting them back in this cliche, what you say, cliche, right? But it seems to work. People pay for it, and then you say that makes me nervous, right? I'm not so nervous about who do we hire. I hope that we hire the best, right? And then it doesn't matter so much. And to show, to have role models, I think it's very important. But why do you have to be a woman for a role model for a woman? Why can't you be a man and a role model for a woman, or the other way around, right? I think we should be a little bit more relaxed on that. And maybe this one thing, the one question, whether we have to have a quota on female participation on something, then do we want to have it in all the things, also for men? And then I don't know. I don't want to answer these questions, even though I talk so much about it now.
Okay, so then
About borders, percentage women in different areas. I don't think that this helps, really.
really,
I don't think that this helps the problem. Because if we announce a professorship, we want to find the best. And we all agree that it should not matter where they come from, how they look, if they are female or male. So we want to have the best in these positions. And we should not have fixed borders. We just should to encourage young researchers, even women, to go into science, to take this career. We should help there in their younger career, in their very beginning, and then we do not need the borders. Because if we have the borders, it happens that it can also happen, or from my experience, not personally, but I was a member in this robotic professorship committee years ago at another place, and the committee decided not to place the woman in the list because they were anxious that the ministerium turns the list. And for that woman it was very bad, because otherwise she would have become into the list. And this is what happens if we have borders, if we have very strong rules, very fixed regulations. It can be more bad to have them than it helps to have them.
okay.
So this is my opinion. Keeping the mind open, bring the women into techniques in the very early of their career, and then having a huge amount of person qualifying for certain jobs. And then we should not look into gender, we should just look at the person and their experience, but not what color, what religion, whatever age. We need diversity, and we should not have any borders at all.
Okay, very
in my
interesting
opinion.
thoughts. And I will share my, maybe I shared them before, but I will have a say on it, and in the end. So
You
no,
can
no,
share
no,
it.
please. So I want to hear your opinion about this.
As I said, I have a diverse opinion. In some cases, it might help, but as you also said, it degrades the women. Oh, I'm on this job only because of the quota, and this is what we would make disappointed, because I want to do this job because I am able to do this job and I'm good, and that's why I more tend to no quota. As you said, we have to bring the basics. We have to change the basics, and not in the end. So make a quota for some guidance boards, make a quota for some C-level areas. It's when there is nobody there until now, they can't do this quota. So and of course. The women itself also start with networking. This is why are more men in C-levels. We all know that networking, from the industry side now, is to say that networking is mandatory in this area. And there, I have to really say, the women are not so good in networking. They are starting to a certain level, but unfortunately sometimes then comes that it's not so so settled than the networks in the man networks, I say, because from the tradition-wise it is a man network. And to go into these networks, to be open present and not just doing their work in industry is also something important where many women don't do or don't think about. I think sometimes I have the feeling they forget about it because they want to make their job great, and all the networking around, they forget about it. And even I when I look at me sometimes, when you're in a project and oh yes, and this, and then forget about, oh, I should call this colleague, or I remember this one. And this networking is also mandatory. And I think to bring the basic also in industry, and as you say, make role models, go out, be here in such a discussion to show this up and start to network, to come together. And it doesn't have to be a woman network or a man network. It is an interaction. It has to be a diverse network. Yeah.
So, to close around, Birthe, what's your opinion about this?
I think it's useful in some sectors, but regarding the education and tech startups, it's probably not the best thing to focus on. It might work as an indicator, so that you measure how many female founders do I have, how many female PhDs do I have, how many female students do I have in this topic, and also to measure if you need to change something in how you communicate your business and how you communicate your product and how you communicate your study field, or change some formats. So as an indicator, I think it's useful, but also regarding other backgrounds or whatever, in order to measure, okay, are we attractive to actually everybody with different backgrounds? And the second point is, I think it's not important to find who's best, but who's having the highest potential, which might not matter in the education that someone has received, but in whether that person fits into the team and has the best potential to develop in your team, for example. I know that takes a lot of time to find, and you don't have the time in a hiring process, but I think that's actually the point that you should focus on, and not increase the barrier by putting a quota or whatever.
Okay, thank you for your answers, because I'm for a quota. Yeah, I said before, I was against, because I wanted to be there for my strengths, for my knowledge, for the woman I am. But I also recognized that didn't change so much over the past years, that women are visible in the management, that women are visible in tech. And I think maybe sometimes we have to show the next generation that it's totally normal that a woman is in the management, that a woman is a CEO, that a woman founds a company. And that's why I'm for quota. And but interesting, I can totally agree that it's quite different in the university when you want to have students there and they have to apply for it, and it's not possible to find them. But I really like the first ideas to start in the kindergarten, to start in school, to bring tech with another story to the girls and the boys too, of course. So yeah, and maybe you said we want to have role models there. We want to show them. You said also, we can also have male role models, but I'm very interested in what are your models, or what were your models when you started your career, or you wanted? Who do you think of when you think, well, this is a very strong person?
There were only few women around in the scientific area, so the persons who attracted in what they do and which said, well, maybe I would like to do the same career. The first is, and this is what I realized when I read the careers of other women, are often the father. So if the father is working together with the daughter many times, then it might happen that they follow. My father worked in science at university. He was not a professor, but he worked in science at university, and this attracted me, meaning working in science at university. This was my goal. And then during I studied, I learned new persons, to know new persons, and I tried a bit to copy what they did if I liked this. So there were great professors, there were great persons I came in contact. Also because the family already had this community at university, I learned very early to know professors, and then I found some working on very enthusiastic about what they did, and this was what what attracted me. And I can name a couple of names. So first of all, Professor Ruge, who led a really huge share at Technical University of Braunschweig. Then my PhD father, Professor Wahl, was the second one. And then Professor Hirzinger at DLR inspired me a lot. Mm-hmm. So how he managed this big group, how he developed ideas, this was something I was attracted very much from. And this person impressed me and gave me some directions to work further on. And then when you do your career, you come sometimes on a point where you say, well, may I still be able to solve these problems? May I still follow making the career, or will I stop? Am I lost? I think many people come once to this point. And then you need persons who support you, who made you working forward. And these persons are very important. Maybe some mentors. Yeah. And there we can work in order to get women and to give their mentorship, to show ways to work with. And there could be more programs at university to support women with mentorship. I think this would be also very successful if we have more programs in doing this.
Okay, very interesting. So, Sadie, you have mentorships and Sadie, or is there something that's going on?
It's not an institutional thing. It's not that we force them to have it, because it would be another tool that we are doing it on a free basis, not only inside the excellence cluster, but in the whole university. We try to be helpful. We are doing it for PhD students. We are doing it for startups and whatsoever. But being a mentor is then also sometimes very dedicated to a problem or to a person, right? Mm-hmm. And that takes longer, right? If you're mentoring people, you know them for a long time, and it's easier to know how to advise them. You, of course, all your PhD students you are mentoring, but it's more on the topic of their PhD stuff. I would like to come back to one of the things that we maybe should address, and we heard it before, and that's the elephant in the room, right? I mean, we have to say, and also be honest to ourselves to say, where men and women are different, because they are different, and we are looking for the difference, right? So we cannot say they're the same and they're different, right? We cannot look for diversity and say they're the same, right? And the things that we mentioned today, I like the Corona example, because then you know it's not the fact that they have been pregnant and have to go away for a year or two and then come back. That's not the big bummer in a career. I have colleagues that had 4 kids. Was never a bummer, that one, right?
Female colleagues or men?
Female, all female. So they have 4 kids, they arrange the day, very easy, and they're very famous, if not the best professors in the field, right? So might not be the reason, because the Corona stuff is there, the kids are there, If we hire people, I like people or ladies that have kids because they are more organized, right? They know what to do. They come to the work, and then they have maybe, even if they have less time and they go to fetch the children from the kindergarten when they're still younger, totally fine with me because they do really the work into it, and they're more efficient. But the point where I see the difference is more in the networking. The networking is the big killer for women, because women somehow are pure in their soul and they don't want to cooperate with people that are a little bit shady, right? Men are really good in cooperating with shady guys. We learned over, I don't know how many years, we understood somehow this idea of cooperating with, we don't want to marry the person or stay with them forever. We can have short-time cooperation, and we understand this very well. And there, if I see younger teams and also women, especially, they really pick their network in a very puristic way, right?
Trustees, yeah.
And that can sometimes, from my perspective as a man, hindering them to have this success. It's not so much whether we have the right tool set, if we mentoring them. I think we can do everything. Something has to come from the female side to understand this networking. There must be something different, maybe a different form of networking. It's not a copycat of our networking, but they need networking. They have to push, for example, the biggest task, to push somebody higher than you, right? As a woman, try to find somebody who said, I push another woman higher than me. That is, I find it rarely, I like to have examples, it happens, but men are doing this. With the hope, it will pull me up again, right? So the form of cooperation, if you just go game theoretical approaches, there's a different schedule, a different payoff scheme for men than for women. And I cannot totally understand it because I can only understand what men are doing, but women have to learn a new way of cooperation.
So in one sentence, or maybe two, from your perspective as a man, what is your advice for a young woman how to start?
Only on the topic of cooperation or in general?
Yeah.
In general, I would just say learn your own topics, be very good at what you do, and do only what you want to do, right? Don't let other people tell you what you have to do, because then you're in a corner where you don't shine. You have to shine. And if you shine, you will attract other people, and then you have to choose wisely. And not in the totally puristic way. You have to choose with whom can I achieve which goal, for what. Make your goals clear, also to the other side. Let's say we are doing this together to achieve this goal. This is cooperation, a common goal. And when we have done, we break up, right? Or we stay forever and continue our network there. But the biggest thing is for everybody, female, not female, go wherever you shine and start from there. The rest will come automatically.
Very, very nice and wise words. So maybe, Birthe, what's your advice to young women and female founders, and maybe also in the tech and robotics field?
Try. Do the first step, even if it seems to be uncomfortable and you are uncertain, you don't dare to go somewhere, go to meet people. Just do the first step, and the next step will follow.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. This is what I live.
It's
start and try.
It's often just starting. Yeah.
Yeah. Start and try and learn and reflect and go on. So, what's Elisabeth? What do you want to say? Do you have a mentee? Are you a mentor?
Right now, not. But I was a mentee when I was at the university and at work. And I also had mentored young girls and boys, men and women, sorry. So what I can say, as I fully agree with your networking, as it, and I think sometimes I have to say, don't think, act, and then think. Because this is also sometimes, which even I had this experience for myself. Yeah. I thought too much and said, I have to think about it, and then say yes. Now say yes, and then think afterwards, what did I say now? And but it works out. Try, as you said, make the first step, because the gut. I say always the gut thinking. I know in business development or also in technique they don't like gut thinking, but I said even there the gut, always the feeling let's say the feeling what you have, if it's right or not, is always in the first seconds. And when you think more and more, you got more, of course, issues, you got more challenges, but they will come, as you say, if you say yes or no, because then they come in another topic. So when you feel that's right, then say yes, and not I have to think about it.
So, and
I would say, don't doubt if you can do that. Just do it, what you believe in. This is one thing which is very important. Don't doubt too often if you are able to do that. I think this is especially a woman's thing. They doubt a little bit more about their own capabilities, and they shouldn't. And there's a second difference. When I talked to a female colleague, I realized this. We talked about a common project, and I said we will cooperate with this person, this person, this person. And she said, no, I will not. And I said, why? Yeah, because, and then the stomach came into the mind. And she was not very clear why, but it was more answer by the stomach. And this is, I think, what men don't do. They say, okay, if I want, as you said, reach this goal, I need the cooperation and the colleagues, I will do that. And I can separate between some personal attitude and the goal at work I will achieve. And to be there, more open mind. And sometimes if you start the cooperation, you will change your thinking anyway about that person. And this is how the network of male grow faster, because they are more open in cooperation with others. And this is what females can learn from.
Okay.
So do not doubt on yourself, and be open, cooperate a lot, and try to achieve your goals.
So, in conclusion, to conclude this, well, I doubt also a lot. Yeah, when I studied to study computer science, for example, when I started the company, when I gave my first presentation, and so on and so on. But I also had people around me who gave me this advice too, and maybe this is something we can do every day when we see someone who's struggling.
Yeah.
Push them forward, say them, hey, you can do it, you're bold, you're strong, you're perfect, go on. Yeah. And I have a wish for all of us, and for maybe the people around, when you see someone, maybe boys of course too, but if they struggle, help them, push them forward, go on. Well, thank you very much for this very interesting panel, for your insights of your background, of your work, and what you do to, bring more women in the field of robotics and tech, and I also think AI, because we are working on the products of tomorrow, and also women are part of this tomorrow too, of course. So, I want to close this panel now. Thank you very, very much to be part, and maybe we can meet again.
Thank you.
Thank you.